Judge Russell understands very uniquely what it's like to be a small child who's been taken away from every home, every part of the home they know, sitting in a small courtroom, waiting for someone they've never met make a decision about their lives.
Judge Mary Russell's heart for children knew there was a need to have strong advocates.
When I practiced law in a small town, I was frequently appointed to be the guardian ad litem for children that were in this situation. CASA wasn't in existence yet in Missouri. And as a young attorney, we were the typical attorneys appointed to represent the children. And so unfortunately, they were getting the green lawyers. They were getting lawyers who had had no social work training. And in my case, I wasn't even married and never had any children. And so here I was trying to learn about this particular child that I was assigned to be the guardian ad litem for, and to make a recommendation to the court on where this child should be placed and live.
Judge Russell's experience gives her insight into how valuable a CASA volunteer can be.
CASA program is a fabulous program to help our young people who, due to no fault of their own, find themselves in a courtroom, find themselves taken away from the home where they've lived their entire life, and are lost and have no one they can trust, no one they can speak to, and they're in a totally foreign environment. And the CASA volunteers are the most fabulous people in the world. Obviously they're volunteers, and they spend endless amounts of time and lots of energy, all for what's going to be in the child's best interest.
I think that she brings a well-rounded perspective of what CASA really is.
Judge Russell understands really deeply the role of a CASA volunteer in our court process, and is very supportive of the CASA volunteers across the state. In her role as a Supreme Court judge, she's uniquely able to speak to groups and judges about CASA, and has done so.
Judge Russell's confidence in CASA shows statewide.
She's traveled to visit CASA programs in different parts of the state. She's spoken with judges. She speaks at conferences. She's just been instrumental in making sure that our volunteers are part of the process and are there for the children that they serve.
I was invited to speak at a Kiwanis statewide meeting here in Jefferson City. And so I understood that Kiwanis had as one of their major goals was to help children. And so I spent a lot of my speech talking about the CASA program. Afterwards, two members of the Kiwanis Club of Jefferson City came up to me and said, "Why don't we have a CASA program here in Jefferson City?" And I said, "That's the question I've been asking."
That speech actually helped start the CASA program in Jefferson City, which began as a part of the local Kiwanis group, and then has gone on to now serve children in that circuit.
She is very passionate about this, and she is very compassionate to understanding the stories that are presented that are necessary to build a case to advocate for CASA.
As board president, she was president of our board for 2 terms, she led the state association through a much-needed expansion from 1 part-time person to 4 full-time people. And this has allowed us to increase our services to all of our programs, and has also caused a huge growth in the number of CASA programs, from 14 programs to 22 today. So that has really added to the number of children we can serve across the state.
Our children are our future, and but for the terrible situation that they have been placed in or find themselves in, they could have a lot of other opportunities in life. But because the rug's been pulled out from underneath them, all their possessions are put into a black garbage bag, and they move from home to home. And not too many years ago, foster homes and hopping around was very, very frequent. And finding some permanency in a child's life could go on for years. And now with some recent legislation with CASA volunteers speeding up the process, you as a volunteer are saving this child from potential dropping out of school, from criminal activity, from other ways astray. And I think that we all feel fabulous when we know that our efforts have saved a life or improved a life. And it's a lifelong wonderful satisfaction.